Sadly for developer Ubisoft Montreal, the original Watch Dogs game will go down in history as nothing short of a critical disappointment. Trailer hype initially sold the original entry in the franchise, and that same hype turned customers and bystanders alike against what was being offered by the Ubisoft studio. But the financial success of Watch Dogs guaranteed a sequel, even if a vocal part of the gaming community was condemning it for being a shell of its former self that was shown to the world 2 years prior. But unlike other game developers who block out all negativity when it comes to a release, Ubisoft Montreal wanted to make things better with the eventual sequel. Featuring a different setting, characters, and improved gameplay, Watch Dogs 2 seemed to be hitting all the right notes pre-release, but so have many other games in the past that resulted in a lackluster experience. Being someone who didn't necessarily enjoy his time with the original Watch Dogs, I came into this game with an open mind, looking to not compare it to its predecessor, but see if it could tickle my open world gaming fancy during one of the busiest times in gaming history. Following the events in Chicago where the first game's lead did his worst Batman impersonation while trying to expose how people's privacy was being used against them, the focus moves from the Windy City to the beautiful city of San Francisco, where the player takes control of Marcus Holloway, as his home place instills the Central Operating System, or CTOS, that connects everyone to everything. Teaming up with the hacker group DedSec, Marcus takes it upon himself to be the city's unknown guiding light to reveal just how badly people are getting duped by those supposedly with their best interests at heart. I took my sweet time with the story, choosing to take in the game's atmosphere while completing side missions galore. Once the online servers became stable and more people were able to play, I joined the worldwide community to hunt bounties, participate in co-op missions, hack other people's money, and even put a price on my own head just to see who could handle my sniper rifle when they came after me. I finished the main story and achieved Platinum Trophy status by completing everything on the trophy list around 30 hours, and still had a few interesting things left to do, including a couple of side missions and some more online fun. The game doesn't take its time with throwing the player into a situation where it becomes obvious this Watch Dogs is more about stealth and divide and conquer than shooting people in the heads. Being equipped with a billiard ball attached to a short bungee cord, the Thunderball, Marcus can hide behind various objects, sneak behind an enemy, and either choke them out or pull off a long-winded series of acrobatic strikes as if Holloway is rocking a pair of nunchucks. That's not to mean Marcus can't embrace his inner homicidal maniac, though it doesn't fit with his character for obvious reasons. Thanks to a 3D printer available at every safe house, Marcus can produce a variety of weapons and gadgets, including sniper rifles and explosive devices that can be turned into highly advantageous mines. Not surprisingly, Marcus can't take a lot of bullets to the body and will usually die quickly in more open environments if a firefight occurs. The 3D printer is also responsible for two of the most important items in Marcus's inventory, the quadcopter drone and the remote-controlled car known as the Jumper. These two items allow for sleuthing when and where Marcus cannot, as the protagonist can send his electronic buddies through various ventilation shafts, infiltrate enemy bases, and in the case of the Jumper, even perform hacking of certain objects needed to progress the missions. While the devices and weaponry are essential to Marcus's survival, it's his abilities that can be upgraded by completing missions, gaining followers, and collecting research points and key data that prove to be his greatest tools. Spread across 3 categories are 7 subcategories that feature perks that can be purchased to help Marcus accomplish his goals in a variety of ways. If you like to gun and run, put all of your research points in the marksmanship category. Want to hack your way through the game? Stick to social engineering and put out hits on enemies using rival gang members, and even getting people arrested on false charges. While sticking to one playstyle can work, well-roundedness is the key, and thankfully enough points are dished out to try and see what works best for each individual playstyle. The only problem is the perks cost. Not surprisingly, higher-end perks cost a lot more research points than the elementary abilities, but the player must also find key data to unlock the perks as well as have a high number of points. meaning Marcus will be going around the town in the most dangerous of areas to get one key data necessary to create a citywide blackout. Even though it's annoying that collectibles, thankfully few in number, are necessary to find if the player really wants to see the depths of Marcus's abilities, the city itself is interesting enough to convince someone to experience it in the fullest, thanks to a variety of missions that can see Marcus crippling a new religion similar to Scientology, being an Uber driver, or taking selfies in front of monuments. The NPCs and random people found throughout San Francisco are just as interesting as the beautifully rendered world of bright colors, hilltops, and more coffee shops than the eye can see. Beyond the ability to hack and read text chats or listen to phone conversations, there are day-to-day moments that a player will witness that makes the experience of simply walking through the world more profound. During my time playing, I experienced many interesting sights, including a drunken woman lamenting about her apparent breakup, guys just randomly dancing in the back alley of a nearby bar, and even an argument where a man hit his significant other. Watch Dogs 2's version of San Fran is a delight, and a great example as to why all open world games don't have to be dark and brooding. While the side missions are various in nature, a majority of the main missions are anything but, as the usual missions involve Holloway infiltrating an area, taking down or sneaking past enemies, getting information, completing one of the copious amount of circuit puzzles placed throughout the game, and leaving the area or escaping pursuers. As Marcus levels up, main missions become a lot more interesting, as the environments usually allow for a variety of methods to succeed even if the formula is essentially the same. But success can be greatly hindered by the game's biggest flaw, the AI. With stealth being a main component of making it through any given mission, Marcus is put in the world where his enemies have sight lines for miles, rarely miss when shooting at their target, and most distressingly have the ability to know exactly where Marcus is if one enemy spots him, without even alerting the rest of his crew. Missions late in the game can almost become instant failures if Marcus is seen by an adversary. Even worse is the fact that Marcus can't hide knocked out or slain bodies, meaning if an enemy finds a fallen ally, the entire group goes hunting. And usually a random unmarked guard just so happens to stumble upon the culprit. Cops are exceptionally annoying as well, with aggressiveness unlike any other open world game seen this generation. Another flaw with Watch Dogs 2 is its driving. Driving in 2 would make anyone believe that friction doesn't exist in San Francisco, as the rather weightless and floaty vehicles can easily spin out with the light tap of the e-brake, as if the pavement is covered in ice. The plot isn't a strong suit as well, but it isn't bad. The biggest problem with the story is the fact it doesn't really know where it's going during the first 5 or so hours. Though the main antagonist is introduced early on, he really isn't the focus, but just a benefactor in an overall larger problem that entices DedSec to go out and do things like unrig an election or expose police brutality by robbing the police and getting them killed. The leads, including Marcus, really don't have any type of tried and true backstory, just short audio logs that explain how each character came into the group. Only one character has a real backstory and a connection to the overall endgame, but that's only because he's a returning character from the original franchise's entry. Even some of the final missions don't make sense in the context of the story, but could only happen later in the game due to the difficulty levels, thus making everything feel disjointed from a narrative perspective. The main characters, though absurd stereotypes of youthful angst and a belief that they can change the world in this current digital climate, are warm, likable, and downright fun, as if you've known them for years, and you're just peeking in on their current escapades. Multiplayer returns in the same fashion as the original game, but a lot better in this iteration. After a rocky start, the seamless multiplayer allows gamers to drop in and out of someone else's game to complete co-op missions that usually involve infiltrating an area and fetching something like a bag of money, hack someone else's information to get money, and complete bounties to make money. Or even put a bounty on the player's own head to become the prey for someone else looking to get a good chunk of change and followers at someone else's lethal expense. The ability to turn off the online functionality is there, so if someone doesn't enjoy it, they can simply play offline and avoid moments like a hacking scenario starting in the middle of a mission. In further regards to the game's functionality, I was one of the lucky few to suffer only one major crash that thankfully occurred between missions. Graphical glitches were few and far between, but the frame rate drops while driving through the city were numerous, more than likely due to the game's incredible draw distance that allows the player to see what is around markets for miles. There are so many things that Watch Dogs 2 does right from a core gameplay perspective that even the narrative and minor functionality flaws can hinder an overall incredible experience. If Watch Dogs 2 was the franchise's debut entry, a lot of people would be deeming it the pinnacle of open world gaming during the 8th generation's formative months, but it was not to be, and unfortunately it hurt the overall perception of what was to come. What did come was a stylish, fundamentally sound, thoroughly enjoyable game featuring rock-solid gameplay, brain-twisting puzzles, and a group of characters that, while annoying and culturally satirical at times, are warm and feel like an eventual quintet of people you not only want to root for, but wouldn't mind living in their world alongside them for a while. Though there are pacing issues when it comes to the plot, driving is still a drag, and the ridiculous AI omnipresence, it doesn't take away from the fact that Watch Dogs 2 is a fantastic production that, unlike the first game, has me excited to see what the next installment could be, and loving what the present is currently delivering.
You've got a weird relationship with technology. You know that, right?
He didn't mean it.